Hello, Kansas. This is Doug Billings, your MAGA conservative candidate for the governorship of the state of Kansas. Speaking directly to you, as I always do, coming right to you with an important message. You know, this is what we should all be doing, talking to the people directly. No other political candidate, either future, past, or present, speaks to you the way that I do, coming right to you. I want you to know the deep state, the establishment, they're working overtime. And they're going to start to smear me, just like they did to President Trump, with their lawfare tricks. I am getting ahead of that, and I'm telling you what's coming because I'm a fighter. I am not a victim here. I want you to know that. I have nothing to hide. You have heard me on stage. For those of you who have known of me in my show for these last 5 years as I travel the country, I speak from the stage about the issues that I'm going to talk to you about today. I've even written about them in my book, Your Wonderful Life. No matter the past, life always holds wonder, joy, and meaning. It's well documented, all of these things that I'm going to tell you today. And what I've said is partly in my book and on stage, I say, you know, as we look at our lives, if God were to come down and say, let's make a line according to everyone who's made a mistake in this life, chances are that Doug Billings might be first in that line. But I've got a feeling that many of you would be right there with me, right? We've all made mistakes. My Catholic faith has carried me through adversity, challenge, and tragedy. And although many times when you're in the midst of all of that, it's difficult to understand and realize that blessings are there waiting to be born. You all know it. In your own lives, you can look at the things you've been through. Blessings waiting to be born. I've learned that false accusations and a weaponized legal system cannot break you if you keep on fighting. Just look at the template we've been given by President Trump. Look what he's been through. Look what they did to him because of what he represents to the swamp, the deep state, the establishment. And let me share two stories with you that the swamp is going to try to twist about me. In 1993, that's about 31 years ago, by the way, in case you're from Raytown, Missouri, I was a 30-year-old teacher at an alternative high school. I was helping kids from rough backgrounds. Folks, these were gang members. Some of the girls were prostitutes at night and students during the day, but there were also a good number of kids who came there seeking and chasing a better life. Two students who were upset about losing break privileges because they had fallen behind with their work accused me of saying inappropriate things to them. They never claimed physical misconduct, just things that I had said. Luckily and thankfully, our security guard, who was a retired police officer, and another student overheard the girls plotting this story. Now, newly married with a baby on the way, I had a choice to face in this whole situation. Do I fight it in court, dragging my family through the mud and the public spectacle of all of this, or do I take a deal to move on? Well, I chose my family. I left that job, but I never lost my teaching license, ladies and gentlemen, and I went on to teach again. I've never run from that issue, and it's taught me how lies can be weaponized against you. I refused to let those lies define me. Every day, Americans who are innocent go to the court system because of the weaponized system that we have, and because they have limited funds and limited ability to defend themselves properly, or as the way they would really like to, they make deals and they get on with their lives to avoid a public spectacle. Happens every day. Then 18 years ago, I'm working as an HR manager in corporate America. I set up an account, a bank account, to hold funds for a company events while I was waiting for the corporate office to create their own account. Before everything happened with the new account, I was falsely accused again of misappropriating those funds. It was a low-grade felony charge. I mean, that was serious, and it's a big deal. Not one dime of that money was missing. The company had it all. But because of a weaponized legal system, there were charges to face, and I faced them head on, just like President Trump did. I was targeted by a weaponized legal system. Not the truth, not what really happened. I've never misused a dime of that money. The company had full account of everything there, but like countless Americans who I've already mentioned, because people say things about their lives, I took a deal to avoid crushing legal costs and the persecution that was going to follow. I never went to jail. I never lost my right to vote. The case was expunged, ladies and gentlemen. I voted in every election since Ronald Reagan in 1980, and I will vote again. in the 2028 presidential election. You better believe I'm going to vote in the 2026 governor's race election here in Kansas. So why am I sharing this with you now? Why am I being so transparent with you about my own life and personal life? Because the deep state swamp sees my MAGA campaign, the team that I have with April McCoy as our lieutenant governor. They see our KDOJ, the Kansas Department of Government Efficiency pillar, auditing government offices, cutting taxes by the billions of dollars, saving education, protecting life, making sure that your Second Amendment right will not be infringed, coming on board with new crypto technology, bringing SpaceX and Space Force to Kansas. All of these things and more frighten the hell out of the establishment. The campaign scares them. So they're going to begin to smear me. And they're going to say awful things. And you would expect it because I know, ladies and gentlemen, you know what the swamp is. They're going to dredge up these old and very settled matters to smear me, just like they did with President Trump. But I'm not going to back down, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I'm doubling down. My life is an open book. I have two sons, a 31-year-old young man who is on his own journey in life, doing his own thing. I have a 22-year-old son who has Down syndrome, and his life is wonderful. He's thriving. It's filled with joy and wonder, and he fills the rest of us with wonder and joy as well. They are my pride and joy. My running mate, who I mentioned, April McCoy, running as lieutenant governor, her and her husband, Sean, they've known about these stories for over a year. I've told them. I had another conversation with them just before we formally filed to run for governor because I knew that the swamp would likely try to dig these things up because what we represent scares the hell out of them. And they are engaging with the powers of hell to smear us. But I am here for you, Kansas. I am not answering to the elites, to the deep state swamp, and all those who would try to derail us. I am here to help us. The swamp wants to distract us with lies and misinformation, but I'm fighting for this republic and for Kansas. So I'm asking you to stand with me up against the rumors, up against the misleading stories and the smear tactics that you're going to be seeing as this campaign, unfortunately, progresses along. And this is another reason why so many people don't want to run for office. Because as I said at the beginning, who among us, if we're asked by God to get in a line according to who's made mistakes, would be able to say, I've never made a mistake? No one. We are all in this together, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to believe that. I am here for you. I will continue this campaign. I will continue to come to you just as I am now to speak directly to you, even after I'm elected. This is how it's going to be. And I'm going to travel this state, shake your hand, give you a hug, and we're going to win this thing because we're in this together, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it. For God, for the Republic, for Kansas. Cheers.